Few actors in Hollywood history have lived a life as dramatic off-screen as their performances on it. Nicolas Cage rose to global fame through unforgettable roles, explosive intensity, and a uniquely unpredictable acting style. Yet behind the iconic grin and larger-than-life characters lies a deeply human story filled with pain, identity struggles, financial collapse, and ultimately redemption. From a troubled childhood to unimaginable wealth and then near financial ruin, Cage's journey reveals how fame cannot heal inner wounds. His life is not simply about Hollywood success. It is about resilience, self-discovery, and finding peace after years of emotional and personal turmoil. Early shadows, a childhood marked by silence. Nicolas Cage was born as Nicholas Kim Coppola on January 7, 1964, in Long Beach, California. He grew up as the youngest of 3 brothers in a family deeply connected to art and intellect. His father, August Coppola, was a respected literature professor, while his mother, Joy Vogelsang, was a dancer and choreographer. Despite this creative environment, the home often felt emotionally fragile. Cage later recalled a childhood where tension and silence filled the rooms. His mother's struggles with mental health created an atmosphere of unpredictability, leaving young Nicholas sensitive and observant. These early emotional experiences would later shape the intensity and vulnerability audiences saw in his acting. Family fractures and the search for identity. When Nicholas was just 12 years old, the fragile structure of his family collapsed. His parents divorced, leaving him caught between 2 emotional worlds, the disciplined intellectual life of his father and the artistic sensitivity inherited from his mother. The separation created a deep sense of loneliness that followed him through adolescence. While many children seek stability after family upheaval, Nicholas internalized his pain and learned to hide vulnerability. This quiet emotional struggle gradually formed the foundation of his artistic personality. The emotional duality he experienced, logic from his father and passion from his mother, would later define his unique acting approach and personal philosophy. Breaking away from the Coppola legacy. At Beverly Hills High School, Nicholas faced a challenge that had nothing to do with talent. His last name, Coppola, immediately connected him to one of Hollywood's most famous families, including legendary filmmaker Francis Ford Coppola. Many classmates assumed any success he achieved would come from family privilege rather than effort. Determined to prove himself independently, Nicholas decided to create a new identity. Inspired by avant-garde composer John Cage and the Marvel superhero Luke Cage, he adopted the name Nicolas Cage. This decision symbolized his first major act of self-reinvention and independence, discovering acting as emotional release. For young Nicholas, acting quickly became more than a career path. It became a personal escape. Inspired by intense performers like James Dean and martial arts icon Bruce Lee, he became fascinated with how emotion could be transformed into powerful storytelling. By the age of 15, he realized acting allowed him to channel the confusion, anger, and sadness he carried inside. Instead of hiding from these emotions, he could project them into characters. Every performance became a form of therapy, allowing him to turn personal pain into artistic energy. This raw emotional honesty later became the signature element of his most memorable performances. The rise of a Hollywood powerhouse. Throughout the late 1980s and 1990s, Nicolas Cage established himself as one of Hollywood's most distinctive actors. His fearless acting style and willingness to take creative risks earned him widespread recognition. Major films brought both critical acclaim and commercial success, eventually making him one of the industry's highest-paid performers. By the early 2000s, Cage had reached extraordinary levels of fame and fortune. His role in National Treasure, 2004, was a massive global success, helping push his career earnings to staggering heights. At the peak of his career, his estimated wealth reached nearly $150 million, cementing his status as a Hollywood powerhouse. Wealth, fame, and an empty feeling. Despite the extraordinary success, something inside Cage remained unsettled. The fame, awards, and financial success failed to fill the emotional void he had carried since childhood. After film premieres and public celebrations, he often returned to quiet hotel rooms where loneliness resurfaced. Many celebrities discover that fame amplifies personal struggles rather than solving them, and Cage was no exception. Behind the bright lights of Hollywood, he wrestled with a deeper question: what truly gives life meaning? This emotional conflict between public success and private emptiness slowly influenced the decisions he made in both his personal life and financial choices. Extravagance and the edge of financial collapse. During his years of peak wealth, Nicolas Cage developed a reputation for extraordinary spending. His purchases reflected both curiosity and extravagance. He bought lavish properties including a historic castle in England, a private island in the Bahamas, and a Gothic mansion in New Orleans. His collections became legendary: rare comic books, dinosaur skulls, exotic cars, and even meteorites. These unusual acquisitions fascinated the public but came with enormous financial costs. When the global financial crisis struck, property values collapsed and financial obligations mounted. Suddenly, the vast fortune he once enjoyed began to crumble rapidly. Confronting debt and rebuilding his life, financial difficulties forced Cage into one of the most challenging periods of his life. Tax debts and legal battles created headlines, painting the picture of a fallen Hollywood star. However, instead of declaring bankruptcy, Cage chose a different path. He committed himself to working relentlessly, accepting numerous film roles to repay what he owed. This decision required humility and perseverance. Over time, his determination paid off. By 2017, he had successfully repaid his debts and regained financial stability. The experience fundamentally changed his perspective on money and success, teaching him that true security comes not from wealth, but from discipline and resilience. Love, family, and personal healing. In the midst of personal turmoil, Cage experienced moments of emotional grounding through relationships. Over the years, he searched for companionship that offered genuine stability rather than Hollywood glamour. Eventually, love brought him renewed hope when he met Riko Shibata, an artist from Japan whose calm personality complemented his complex nature. Their relationship developed quietly, away from the spotlight that had dominated much of his life. They married in 2021 in a small ceremony in Las Vegas. The arrival of their daughter, August Francesca, in 2022 brought him profound happiness and reinforced his growing focus on family and emotional balance. Rediscovering peace through simplicity. After decades defined by extremes, fame, wealth, loss, and reinvention, Nicolas Cage gradually embraced a simpler lifestyle. Instead of extravagant estates and rare collectibles, he now values ordinary routines. Morning walks near the ocean, quiet moments with family, and creative reflection have replaced the chaos of earlier years. Professionally, he has continued acting with renewed depth and maturity. Films like Pig and Dream Scenario reveal a more introspective side of his craft, emphasizing subtle emotion rather than explosive performance. Through these changes, Cage has demonstrated that personal transformation is possible even after decades of turbulence. Outro, a story of resilience and redemption. The life of Nicolas Cage is far more than a celebrity biography. It is a powerful reminder that success does not eliminate pain, and that true fulfillment rarely comes from fame alone. His journey, from a sensitive child in a fractured family to a Hollywood superstar, from financial ruin to emotional renewal, illustrates the resilience of the human spirit. By confronting his failures and rebuilding his life with humility, Cage discovered something far more valuable than wealth: peace. His story teaches that even after the brightest